Hi guys, welcome to the daily vlog. It's Wednesday, which means we've only got 4 sleeps till Manchester Marathon. And woke up this morning thinking, oh, I've got a pain in my leg. There wasn't any pain in my leg, it's just my mind saying there was. Paranoia setting in. You know, you've probably been through it yourself before a big race. Everything suddenly starts hurting when it doesn't need to. So I had a bit of that this morning, but we're feeling fine now. Actually out on this Wednesday evening, doing about 4 miles at a very sedate pace. Last run before Manchester, unless I do something on Saturday, but I haven't made my mind up about that. I'll have a word with Coach Paul in a minute when we're actually discussing strategy of whether it's a good idea to do some form of shakeout run on a Saturday. So stay tuned for that. So to bring you up to date, yesterday it was a rest day, walked the dog, went to work, all the usual stuff. Still did about 11,000 steps in the day, so still active, but not expending the energy, if you see what I mean. So tea last night will be the same again tonight, to be honest. It's a country pie with vegetables and covered in mash. It's like a cottage pie, but with no meat in it. It's a vegetable pie. It's really, really nice. Might take a picture and put it on this video later. Okay, so also last night, totally relaxed. Did something that me and the wife haven't done in ages. We actually sat down and watched a movie together. We put on the old Netflix and we watched The Guilty, starring Jake Gyllenhaal. I don't want to say too much about the film because I don't want to spoil it for you, but I really enjoyed it. It was different. The way it was filmed was different, but the story was really gripping, and the way it unfolded was great. So if you do get some spare time, go and watch The Guilty on Netflix. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be talking strategy with my coach Paul right after this. Quick pass on the left. Thank you. So I hope you enjoyed that first part of the video today. Just got out and did a little run earlier on, Paul. Did 4.5 miles at 8:30 pace. We'll discuss that in a moment and I'll get your thoughts on that. So alrighty. As I said earlier on in this video, today I want to talk about strategy. Paul's a coach. He's been coaching me through this marathon block. I'm a coach myself. And first of all, a lot of everyday runners, when they attack marathons, they don't ever think about having a coach. And one of the things about being coached is you do start to think about strategy, because a lot of people just think they can wing it, don't they, Paul?
Oh, exactly. Especially in the your first marathon, a lot of people think they know what they're in for. But the marathon is a beast like no other. And it always takes at least one before you really have some idea of what the latter miles are going to do to you. So yeah, having strategy on your side definitely helps.
Fantastic. Right. So strategy wise, as I say, I've just done my last run before London. So it's Wednesday when we're recording this. So I've just done my last run. Easy pace, as I say, 8.5 minute mile pace, which is relatively easy for me now. Felt great doing that, 4.5 miles. So it's given me Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 rest days. Now, as a coach, what do you think about doing a shakedown run on the Saturday? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
For me, running the day before the marathon, or any race for that matter, I don't care if you're talking 5K or on up, I always prefer running the day before, because if it doesn't help your legs, it certainly helps your mind. It gets those butterflies kind of worked out of your system. It reminds your legs, yeah, they're ready for the job. And it just kind of puts you in a better mental state before you go into that big nervous race and you're just kind of milling around at that start line, just waiting to go. So yeah, I love a shakeout run the day before.
But the thing about it is, though, it's you have got this big event, this big race the next day. You don't want to expend too much energy. You don't want to use up too many of those carbohydrates and glycogen that you've built up over the last few days. So it really is a case of, if you go and do a park run, and park run's ideal for this type of thing on a Saturday morning, it's not a case of going out there and caning it and going for the personal best. You're probably looking at being 2 minutes a mile slower than your normal pace, aren't you?
Absolutely. Yeah. You just literally want to move. You just want to kind of work the bugs out of the system, make sure that you feel good and take it easy. And I never go more than 2 or 3 miles on the outside. I just want to, like I said, I just want to reassure myself that I'm actually ready for the following day.
Little story. As you know, I did Berlin Marathon a couple of years ago before all these COVID struck. And what they do on the Saturday morning, they call it a breakfast run. And it's about 4 miles. It's through the streets of Berlin, and it ends up at the Olympic Stadium. You get to run around the Olympic Stadium, you know, the place where the 100-meter world record was broken there by Usain Bolt. And then they actually give you breakfast as well, which is brilliant. Now, the thing to me about that was it was a nice, slow jog, which felt great. There was music, there was dancing, there was partying, and it just really built up. Yeah, we've got this big event coming, but it was just real nice build up. And it wasn't just the runners, it was the families were joining in as well. And it was, I think that really did focus the mind that you are running this big event, and it just really helps. So yeah,
it's great. It's great. And also being around other runners also releases a lot of nerves. You know what I mean? Like all that anxiety can kind of melt away when you realize I'm not in this alone. You know, there are other people who are feeling exactly the same way as me, and it makes it fun instead of nerve-wracking.
Well, I think that's one thing I think you've hit the nail on the head there. The one thing that we need to remember when we're entering these events is running is fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's easy to lose focus on that sometimes when you get a little too serious about, you know, what's coming up.
Okay, right. Let's get back to the point. Strategy. We've got 2 strategies to look at. We've got a pre-race strategy and then the race strategy itself. So when we get to that bit, I'll go through what my former race strategy was, and hopefully we'll kick around what my race strategy should be this time. But what should I be thinking about, and how should I be preparing for getting to the start line?
Yeah, okay. Well, there are a few points I'd like to make, Tony, if I can try to get through this as quickly as I can here. The first thing, and I know you've covered this extensively, so I'm very happy to talk about this, is making sure that you are adequately trained, physically speaking. If you've done that, then 75% of what makes a marathon difficult is done. It's banked. The hay is in the barn. You can focus on staying focused when you're in the race. You can use various tactics that keep you moving instead of worrying about, oh boy, am I even ready? Is this whole thing going to go badly for me? All those negative thoughts go away if you are convinced that you are physically ready for the task at hand. So yeah, do not skimp on your training block, and it will relieve a lot of those nerves. Every run in your training block is about learning how to overcome the easy way out. So as you go out there and you commit yourself to those long runs and those hard speed workouts, you're teaching yourself to go when it's hard to go. And that transfers directly into that marathon race. You know, when you get into the latter miles of that race and the going gets tough, you're able to reach into that cookie jar and say to yourself, I've done this dozens of times before. I'm good. I can make it through this. You know, there's no surprises. You've got the mental ability to overcome that sort of central governor that's trying to protect you from harm. You can overcome that voice in your head that says, stop now, it's starting to hurt. This can't be good for you. You know, and you can say, oh, I've been past this so many times. I'm not listening to that voice. I'm going straight ahead and I will stop when I see that finish line. So those are really important pre-race strategies. I would say know the course, Tony, as well as you possibly can. Watch every video from all the previous years that are on YouTube. If there's a map available with the elevation, know it inside out so you know what to expect on that day, and nothing like that can surprise you. I'd say you want to go through, I don't want to go in detail about this, but visualization. Picture yourself at every stage of that race, not just what it's going to look like, what it's going to feel like, what it's going to sound like, but how you're going to feel. You know, in that first 3-4 miles, you're going to feel amazing and you're going to want to fly out of the gate, but hold yourself back. You know, at mile 13, things are going to start getting a little bit difficult, but force yourself through because you've already mentally been there several times, you know, in the weeks leading up to the race. When you get to mile 20 and you just want to be anywhere but where you are, it helps if you've pictured the pain, if you've experienced it in your head. The other things I would say pre-race, Tony, picture a very specific time that you're going to see on that clock when you cross that finish line, because if you are working towards that goal, if you've internalized it, if it's part of your soul at this point, you're going to work hard to make that a reality. The only other practical kind of things pre-race that I want to pass on is probably a good idea to start eating protein-heavy meals 2 weeks out. Give your muscles a chance to do all the repairs that they need. Starting about 4 days out, you want to start switching into a carb-heavy eating plan. Don't save all the carb loading for the night before. That's just not a good idea. It tends to make us overeat, and then we feel really kind of on race morning. So start loading those carbs a good 3-4 days out. And the other big one you don't hear enough people talking about, Tony, if you're not utterly addicted to coffee and tea, stop the caffeine about 4 days out before race day, because caffeine is a major diuretic. It's hard to get your muscles hydrated properly. It's hard to keep your entire system hydrated if you're on caffeine and you're just constantly peeing, you know, to put it bluntly. So the only other thing I have left to say, Tony, is going into the race, have not just one goal. Don't just have one time in your head that you have to reach. You want an A, B, and C goal. I think your A goal should be the one you're picturing in your head, the one that you're seeing on the clock in your mental visualizations. Your B goal should be PR. Try to beat what you did the last time, even if it's by 1 second. And the C goal for me, which is very important, because sometimes the weather is bad, sometimes it's just not your day. But in order to have a great day and to be happy with the results, once that race is over, I think you really need, your C goal should always be just finish. If you get that 26.2 miles under your belt, that's a huge accomplishment. And I don't care if you missed your A goal. If they're able to drape that medal over your neck, then it's a winner of the day, you know, and there's always next time. So don't feel bad. The fact that you finished is a major accomplishment.
Fantastic. Paul, points of inspiration. Thank you very much indeed. So summing up, believe in your plan. You've done the hard work. It will all come through. Know the course, which is always great. If you can get, I know if you're doing a big city flyaway marathon, it is quite hard to actually go and actually visit the course. But as you say, plenty of videos on YouTube. Go and watch past years and what people have done. And
Exactly.
race organizers always put elevation maps on and course maps. So you should always know you're going to go 5 miles and then you're turning right and you've got a hill. That information is there, which is great.
Exactly.
So thank you very much indeed for bringing that forward, Coach. I really do appreciate it. So let's look at the in-race strategy then.
Surely.
Now, I'll go through my previous strategy and you'll probably be able to say, yeah, I've done that. So when I've run marathons previously where I've not been coached and I've just gone out, used the training plans, blah, 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 is you set off, first 3 miles, way too fast. Mile 4, you slow down, you get into a nice, comfortable rhythm. 13 miles, you go past the halfway thing. Yes, still feel comfortable. 14 miles, hold on, why's my pace dropped?
Yeah.
15 to 20 miles, your pace is dropping off the cliff. You're just getting slower and slower and slower. Mile 21, you're crawling along on your eyelids. Mile 22, come on, get a grip. We can do this. So you start running again. 22 to 24, it's a combination of run, walking.
Yep.
Getting it back. Your walking bits are getting a bit shorter. Your running's getting a bit longer. 24 and a half, 25 miles. It's only a mile. I can run this. And between 25 and 26 miles, you run the world record for a mile for somehow.
Exactly. And that harkens back to the central governor, just to not to get too far off track, but it's amazing what your mind can tell you are capable of when it sees the end in sight.
And then that last 0.2 of a mile, you do at full interval pace. You sprint past everybody. You go flying past the woman with the medal and you got to come back and pick it up and you get your medal on. Some bloke then puts his arm around your shoulder and says, great running, mate. I've tried to keep up with you for the last 10 miles.
Yeah.
Well, how slow was he going then?
Yeah.
And then you get your medal, you get your kit, and you collapse. So
exactly.
That's been my race strategy previously. Can you relate to that, Coach?
Oh boy, I've lived it plenty of times, Tony. You know, as time goes by, you pick up a trick here from another runner, you know, or a book or whatever, and you know, you try to piece it together. And as long as you are consciously working towards having better strategies and better tactics, the more you run these races, the better you get. And I think between everything you've learned and everything I've learned, there's probably a good amount we can pass on to others, and that we can make sure that you employ on race day in the next few days. So.
Okay, so
Yeah.
let's touch on those goals and see if you can actually get me through this to achieve at least one of the goals. And I understand what you're saying. There's a C goal should be completing, but I'm going to bench that for a moment. And
Okay.
yeah, that's we'll call that a given. That is a goal to finish. Okay, so we'll do the C goal first. My previous personal best on a marathon is 3 hours 47. So my C goal is to be 3:45 or quicker. Okay. So that's giving me a new personal best. Even if it is by that 1-2 seconds, it's a new personal best. So that's the C goal. Jumping over the B goal for the moment and looking at A, the A goal for this 54-year-old is to qualify for Boston. So it's a Boston qualifying time, which currently for 54-year-olds is 3 hours 20 minutes. But with the amount of people who are applying for Boston, I think it was about 10 minutes quicker than that you had to be this year. So let's just call it 3 hours, 10 minutes is the A goal, that Boston qualifying time. And then just going back, the B goal is 3:30. That's probably the one I want to be around that 3:30 mark. So Coach, how do I do it?
How do you do it? Okay, well, first of all, hopefully you've trained towards those paces over the last few months to make sure you are capable of sustaining those paces.
So just to clarify, for a 3:30,
that's 8-minute pace, is it not?
That's bob on 8-minute pace. Yep. The 3:45 is 8 minute 10-second pace, basically, or thereabouts. And I think we need to be something like 7:10 if we're going for that. Well, the 7 minutes to 7 minutes 10 mark for that 3 hours 10 minutes.
Yeah, gotcha. That sounds about right. Yeah. I don't have the tables in front of me, but yeah, that sounds pretty darn close. So Tony, if we're talking about in-race strategy, in general terms, the kind of things I'd like to pass on to you. First of all, the way to think of race day, in order to, first of all, calm the nerves. A lot of people don't know what's going to happen on race day, and they let that eat them up. The first thing I want you and everybody watching to realize is that race day is about executing a plan.
Mm-hmm.
There shouldn't be anything up to chance. Overall, that requires two things. Focused attention. Don't let the distractions around you get to you. If somebody wants to go faster, don't keep up with them if that's not your intended pace. And you have to be beyond just the focused attention on your plan, the plan specific to you. There has to be a resolve before you get there on that day that you are willing and able to take the discomfort in stride and not quit. I can personally speak to situations where I've gone into a race kind of like, oh, I've put in the work. I'm just going to go out there and I better get it. I said, like I was somehow like I deserved it just because I've decided to show up. And it was not my day on one particular time. The second time I ran Myrtle Beach, South Carolina's marathon. And yeah, that bad news there, because I didn't deserve anything. Without the focused attention and the resolve to take the pain. By mile 12, I got a little twinge in my leg and I let that get the best of me. And there went the entire marathon. I got a DNF and things did not turn out well. So yeah, with focused attention on your plan and the ability and willingness to take the discomfort and refusing to quit. That's going to see you through everything. That has to be the overarching picture here. I would also say, hearkening back again to the central governor theory, which is your mind's self-protective mode. As soon as things start to hurt, which is usually about 40% through a marathon, it's going to start telling you to slow down, maybe quit. Please know that the reserves, your body's strength is nowhere near depleted when that voice starts. Ignore it. It has no place in a marathon. Ignore it. If you've put in the work in the months beforehand, you're not going to break. Even when your muscles and your hips and everything are just screaming at you, you've got what it takes to get through. So do not listen to that little voice in the back of your head. Just keep pushing. When things get tough, Tony, there are tactics that you can use to keep that voice out of your head and to stay focused on what you need to accomplish. First of all, I would say maintain your form. Keep that checklist in your head, and every couple of miles, tell yourself, head up, run tall, shoulders relaxed, swing your arms straight back and forth like pendulums, keep your hips forward, quick feet. Go through that because that takes time. It takes your attention away from the pain. Mm-hmm. I would also say maintain your pace. Mm-hmm. Every mile, look down at that watch. Make sure you are staying within 5 seconds on either way, because everybody talks about don't slow down too much, but don't go too much faster. Because if you go out too fast, as you alluded to earlier, Tony, that spells trouble in the later miles because you will pay double, triple in the amount of time you slow down for what you think when you're banking time in the early stages. There's no such thing as banking time. So check your pace every mile. I would also say check your cadence. Mm-hmm. This is a great little trick because at least once a mile, count how fast you're turning over those legs. Actually count every time your left or your right foot touches down, try to keep it somewhere in that 180 mark if that's what is optimal for you throughout your training. Everybody says 180 is the golden ticket to proper form. That's true for most people-ish, but I mean, you should have worked that out in your training cycle. So stay as close to your ideal cadence as possible and check it, once a mile, once every couple of miles. It's another great distraction, especially later in the race. And also make sure you're staying on top of your fueling and hydrating, because if you do not hit your schedule for getting liquids and getting fuel into you, even in the early stages when you're feeling great, again, you'll pay for it in the later stages. So don't let yourself steamroll through those early miles without paying attention.
Right, if I could just interject there about the fueling strategy, and I think this is a great way to show it. I've done it in a video about a year or so ago, but I'll just do it again now. Don't wait until you're tired to start fueling. If you wait till you're tired, it's too late. You're done already.
Exactly. You can't catch up once you're in that deficit.
But I think the best way to say is it's like that. You're on a steady downward spiral, aren't you? As you get tired, you go down. But if you start at the beginning, you're fueling, the actual way you get tired is less. So you fatigue slower. I think that's the best way to put it, isn't it? You fatigue slower. But if you're
exactly.
On top, yeah.
Exactly. If you wait for like even halfway through the race to start getting more glycogen in you, it's too late. Once you've depleted what's in your muscles, and if there's nothing already absorbed from early fueling, you're done for. So start early and keep it regular, and you'll be good to go.
Is there anything else?
I mean, there are things like mantras out there. Have a handful, 2 or 3 phrases that really work for you, that communicate to you the kind of strength that you want to maintain throughout the race. I mean, it gives you something, again, to concentrate on besides that voice that's telling you to stop.
Yeah. You're an American, so you've gone down that mantra route, because this is where the Tony Robbins and all that, they're always going on about the mantras, aren't they? And those affirmations in the morning. But a coach I know here in the UK, Chris Hollingshead,
okay,
he always said to me, start singing your favorite song.
That works too.
And don't care what people around you say, just belt it out,
Yep.
Zig a zig or whatever you want to sing, Spice Girls. Just have that song, your favorite song, going around in your head and sing along with it if you want to, or just sing it internally. But that's the same as a mantra. You're starting to concentrate on something else. And in the 10K race I did a couple of weeks ago, in the latter stage, I think it was within the last mile, I wanted to keep up the pace I was going at, and I didn't want it to start slowing down because I was getting tired. So I just basically started counting.
Yeah.
1, 2, counted to 60, then started again, counted to 60. Probably did it about 5 or 6 times, but actually concentrating on that counting took away I'm getting tired, and I managed to maintain the pace all the way through to the end. So yeah, mantra, song, counting, whatever it is, do something other than just thinking about, oh, this is hurting.
Exactly. And in those later stages when it starts getting really, really rough out there, you hear this all the time, but for those who don't know about it, pick the guy off in the distance and set yourself, I mean, in those later miles, it's not like you're going to suddenly pick up the pace a ton. It's just, it's a struggle just to maintain pace. So what you want to do is just pick a guy who's like, 500 feet off in the distance and give yourself like 2 miles to catch him. You know what I mean? Just slowly chip away. Just watch that distance shrink. And that is a great little way to keep yourself motivated for a more short-term goal than the finish line, which is still miles off,
Right. So taking into consideration everything you've said, don't go off too fast, constant pace, etc. I'm thinking then for myself, and this is probably going to sound so easy when you think about it, but a lot of people don't even do it. A lot of the big races provide pacers.
Mm-hmm.
At Manchester, there's going to be a 3-hour 30 pacer in my start wave. So if that's the pace I want to do, if that's the time I'm looking for, and there's a pacer doing it, why not just throw it in and party with the pacer? Because
exactly, yeah,
that will stop me going off too fast at the beginning. and it'll get me doing those constant splits that you're talking about, doing the constant miles, because that guy is trained to get you round in that pace. So it should be a constant pace per mile. So that probably sounds.
And it's a great distraction as well, because the really good experienced pacers will chat. They'll even if you're kind of just barely hanging on to your breath and you don't feel like you've got the energy to be able to speak back, they'll tell you stories. They'll keep you motivated. There's a whole lot of fun with running with a group, and just even beyond the pacer, him or herself, just having that small crowd around you of people who are trying to achieve the same thing is very motivating as well. So,
and then, as we were talking earlier on, so if you've got 4, 5, 6 miles out from the finish and you feel more, I'm not going to say fresh, but if you feel better than you would be if you'd gone out too fast, slow down, and all that, what I spoke about earlier on. So if you're still feeling you can do it, there's nothing stopping you at that 4, 5, 6 miles out just to kick on and get in front of the pacer and go for that even better time.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. If the energy is there and you've been on top of your fueling and you've been running through your checklists and everything seems good to go. If you are blessed enough to feel good at mile 22, then go. Absolutely go. And Tony, I mean, I've been following along with your training through this whole block through YouTube, even though we're separated by thousands of miles. And dude, you look ready. I think you're going to kill. So hats off to you and all the best to you. I just cannot wait to see the video of you crossing that finish line.
Crawling across on my eyelids. Right, on that bombshell, Paul, thank you very much indeed for your input. It's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. So thank you very much indeed, Coach. Before you disappear, how can people follow along with you?
Oh boy, my big thing is YouTube. So go to the DevRunner channel and please subscribe if you so wish. And you can also find me on Instagram as the DevRunner, and you can find me on Strava as Paul DeVillo. So those are the 3 big ways to find me. And again, Tony, thank you so much for allowing me to participate in this. And I feel like I don't need to wish you luck because I've seen the work you put in. You're ready to do it.